We're currently 1.3 million beds short. We're only building 50,000 beds per year. We are almost doubling the amount of seniors who need care and assistance, and we do not have enough. You don't move into assisted living and think you're going to become someone else. You're not. This is end of life care. That being said, the average stay is 3.5 years. So most of the time it's not like a 6-month stint or a 2-week stint. It's a while that they're with you, and you want to make their stay as comfortable as possible.
I'm a senior citizen, technically, officially a senior citizen. But when I look at my mom, I go, I want to make sure my mom is looked after, and so for me, that kind of business model means that what can I stand for? How do I look after people? And I think I love the whole concept around it. What is your pitch to potential investors saying, you need to consider this model, this strategy? I mean, I'm also looking at it right now, and maybe you can comment on this, Isabel. US and Canada, different mortgage, different financing and how we do it, and problematic more in Canada than the US. But having said that, when we look at interest rates the way they are, when we look at certain US markets and even in Canada, it becomes cost prohibitive in terms of what my point is. This is that when we look at real estate, let's say what you're talking about in Canada is, probably depending on what province you're in, your point of entry is going to be like 1.5, 1.7, depending on what city you're in. You're into some big numbers right off the bat, plus a renovation, Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at it, do you see opportunities given the current market conditions? Do you see more opportunities showing up in that higher end because you're looking at whatever footprint you're looking at larger? So are you seeing more opportunities or less? How's the model working in this current climate?
Do you think, let's just say that mortgage, maybe it's 12,000, or are you thinking it'd be more?
I mean, I'd have to do the math, but ultimately, depending on what you do for financing, assuming that you're putting at least 20 or 25% down, let's say your mortgage is going to be but I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers around. I have no idea. I'm just thinking through it. Let's say your mortgage is 1.5. And then the best you're going to do on a mortgage with it in terms of a rate is probably 6.5, or let's say 6.5. That's going to be the best you're going to do. So let me do some quick math. 6, you're looking at probably 10 grand, 8 grand. Yeah.
So let's just call it 12. Okay. Let's
Sure.
throw in more. If you had a mortgage for 12, your expenses, like we talked about, were around 35, right? For those 10 residents, and you're charging $6,700 per month per resident. That home would still be cash flowing you $20K a month take home.
Yeah.
So the real estate going up, it doesn't really impact our industry as much because the cost of care goes right up with it, right?
Sure.
So a couple years ago, if we were talking even a year and a half ago, average rates were 4,500. Now they're 5,500. So asking 67, common as the sky is blue, right? We have students who are getting $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month per resident, and people don't even blink an eye. They write the check every month, and it is no big deal. So to have a mortgage that's 10, 12, 15, 20, we can still pay the bills and cash flow really well. The reality is there's 76 million baby boomers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
one of them. I know.
Right? So the silent generation, 44 million of them, right? That's who's in assisted living right now. The boomers aren't there yet. They're just going to be starting. The oldest are just going to start getting into the market in the next 5 years. This is a 20-year wave that we're about to start riding. And we're currently 1.3 million beds short. So when we talk about waiting lists, the NIC is projecting we're only building 50,000 beds per year. We are almost doubling the amount of seniors who need care and assistance, and we do not have enough beds. The cost of care is going to continue to rise drastically. It's gone up 87% in the last 20 years, and it's only going up crazier and crazier. So to me, if you're going to get into any industry over the next 20 years, follow the money. And who has the money? The boomers. So what do they need? Where are they going? That's what you want to get involved in. And so it's RAL all day for me, but anything that the boomers are going to need over the next 10, 20 years is where you want to be. That's where you want to invest.
I love this concept, and I don't know why it hasn't shown up in my awareness. I think it has in kind of the back of my mind, but it hasn't really come to the forefront until we're having this conversation right now. And I love it. On the surface, I'm definitely going to be unpacking this a little bit more. What's it like in the U.S. right now? Because, of course, on top of all of this, one of the things that here in Canada we are really facing is the cost of insurance, and the cost of property insurance is just crazy off the charts. And especially when you get into let's say a condo complex where some over the past couple of years, some of those insurance rates have doubled or more in terms of what it's costing for insurance, given all of the things that are happening, not just within Canada, but even globally, and the challenges of insuring. Now, I'm assuming that there's a lot of cost to liability insurance because you're going to have your property insurance. That's pretty straightforward, relatively straightforward. Now, then we have liability, which I think is probably the bigger issue, I'm guessing. But what is the insurance parameters around that, Isabel?
Definitely people think that it's going to be a lot higher than it actually is. Typically,
Mm,
right now, it's about $2 to $3 per resident per day. So with
mm,
10 residents, 900 bucks a month, it's a line item. You
mm.
definitely want it. You definitely need it.
Yeah,
The reality is these people, they are not leaving you and going back to who they were 50 years ago.
yeah,
They, as I say, they're going to heaven or heaven. Like most of them are moving on to the next life within your home. It is not a shock when that happens. And that is what happens. We all go away at some point. You
yeah.
don't move into assisted living and think you're going to become someone else. You're not. This is end of life care. That being said, the average stay is 3.5 years. So most of the time people aren't, it's not like a 6 month stint or a 2 week stint. It's a while that they're with you, and you want to make their stay as comfortable as possible. So you also want them to be as safe and protected as possible. So having cameras in the home, interior
Mm,
and exterior, no bedrooms or bathrooms, that's a HIPAA violation, but
mhm.
within the home, being slow to hire and quick to fire. Any funny business, they are out of there. Like you have to put the senior safety first. Having really strong, culture within your home, company culture to say like, we don't do this. This, isn't going to happen here. And having continual onboarding, training, recruiting, all of that stuff is so important to make sure that the seniors are safe and respected. But cameras, insurance, training, all those things can try to protect you as a business owner. We live in a very litigious world. I'm not saying, nothing is going to happen to you, but the more you care, and even you asking that question tells me that you're a caring person who's thinking about this. Because people who don't think about it, I'm a little scared for them, right? Like it's a thing to think like, well, what happens if? And that tells me you're going to be the type of business owner who says, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it doesn't, you know?
Mhm.
And that's what's important at the end of the day, to be the right type of person to get into this. People should not just do this for the money. You do have to care. It has to, you have to have a heart. This is a very heartfelt and people focused business.
Well, this goes back to what we talked about earlier. This is a business. And so, with any business, if you're just doing it for the money, you're really setting yourself up to fail. Ultimately, there's got to be some care, some compassion, some what are we delivering? Who is our client? What is it that we want to stand for? I mean, that's all part of running a successful business. If it's just for the money, that doesn't ever last. And I think more than uh, well, I mean, certainly a business like this really requires that you have some real compassion and understanding. I mean, I don't know that I think probably at this point in my life, I have a lot more compassion for it being, seniors. I'm a senior citizen, technically, officially a senior citizen. So, but when I look at my mom, I go, I want to make sure my mom is looked after, and so for me, that kind of business model means that what can I stand for? How do I look after people? And I think I love the whole concept around it. And when you look at what you're doing right now, Isabel, when you got into this, I mean, I don't know that you were, so you worked with your dad originally on the thought and the concept. When he passed, took over those three existing businesses, what I heard you say, those three properties that you've got. If you looked at, when you look at what you're doing now, is it your intention to grow that portfolio, or is your intention to teach people how to do it? What's your kind of main focus these days?
We've transitioned a bit instead of opening more ourselves because we are the nation's leading experts on this, and we train hundreds of people every single month how to do this. Now I get a lot of amazing deals that come my way. So I've
Mm.
transitioned into the investor realm. So when we get great deals, I love to invest in them. So my three homes cash flow well, love them, they run, and everything's good. We have about 50 other homes that we invest in across the country, and those bring in other forms of income, as well as it's a great opportunity to help somebody who wants to get into this business. So I love being able to do that. That's kind of the angle I've gone. But we're always teaching and training real estate investors, medical professionals, any entrepreneur
Wow.
how to get into this business. So I love the coaching aspect and I love the investing aspect too.
Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit more. I don't normally unpack this stuff with my guests, but I think it's really would serve my listeners and you to tell me a little bit about your business, your coaching business, the education component of it. If somebody's listening to this and they go, "This is a cool idea." I think it's a great idea, by the way. Tell me a little bit about what your program is, costs related, how do we do it? Is it in person? Is it virtual? What is it? Tell us a little bit about your program.
Yeah, we have two different options. We have an online training. It's about 12 hours of content, 46 modules. It comes with quizzes to check comprehension along the way, transcripts, and a Q&A area where you can chat in with me and I write back to any questions that you have throughout, the experience. We also have kind of our full throttle A to Z training, which is a 3-day training hosted here in Phoenix, Arizona. It is all encompassing. We're showing you how to find the homes, fund the homes, and fill them. We go through memory care, tours, marketing. We talk about raising the capital, what you need in your business plan and your pro forma. We show you how to do syndications, get legally protected. I mean, everything A to Z, how to do this. I'm the lead educator there, but then I have about 7 others who were students who sat in class, soaked up the info. They went out, got their care homes up and running, and now they're back to teach and train you through that. We host those about every 6 to 8 weeks. So we have 8 total events per year. And both of them are great opportunities. It's really just, do you want to dip your toes or do you want to go backstage and hang with the band? It's whatever experience suits your needs.
Cool. And what's the cost associated with the programs?
Online course is $14.97. Live trainings $4,997.
And does that include follow up stuff? So, in other words, are you actually got a community that is working around it? So, in other words, within the Real Estate Investment Network, one of the companies that I own, is that we have a community of like minded. We believe that environment and culture is really important. So, we're sharing insights and lessons with others. So, even with this particular podcast, I'll be pushing this out to our RAIN community hard and really shining a light on it because I think, given what's happening in the real estate world, I think it's important for people to look and understand and really kind of go, wow, there's some options here that I may need to consider. That's the that. So is that kind of the model that you've got going on, Isabel?
We do have a bunch of free ways to connect after.
Yeah,
We created the only RAL National Association that represents all 30,000 of those group homes across the country. So
got it.
we have that as a community that you can join. We do free monthly meetups. We've got all sorts of an amazing connections and resources, group purchasing power and all of that over there. We also have one-on-one coaching and mentoring. So I've got a team of 15 who's available 24/7 for those people who've gone through the online or the live training. We have softwares, we have apps, we have documents, we have all the heavy duty stuff that you need when you're really starting a business. So we show you how to create your own in those trainings. But if you kind of want the more done for you, then we do have that coaching and mentoring available as well.